Hello there. This is the first two lessons in Unit 3. And Unit 3 basically discusses how to start creating apps. And so using Code Studio. And the first set of lessons here really just looks at what are apps and how do they kind of work and how could you design them. And then the second half of the unit will look at actually making it, okay? So getting into doing a little bit of programming, not too complex, but just sort of getting your feet wet here. So just to take a look at what's in code.org here, the primary, the primary purpose of this is, like I said, to explore apps that you could potentially make in this Code Studio. So it's programmed in JavaScript. We don't have to worry about that yet. We're just trying to look at how do you use this app, right? Like how do you interact with it? What's the purpose? Who would be using it? And it takes you through 3 or 4 or 5 different ones here. I won't click on them all. There is a little video here about how computers work, and you'll sort of know about the inputs and the outputs. So what sort of defines a computer, and then sort of working through a little bit more on this app investigation after you've viewed the video to sort of more focus, specifically on these inputs and outputs. And just to sort of raise the awareness. You've all used apps before, but there's oftentimes you haven't really thought about how they work, right? You don't sort of recognize maybe what has to go on in behind the scenes to make it an effective app. All right, and of course there is a little check understanding, a little question at the end, or in this case it's just sort of a drag and drop idea here. Now the second lesson is the introduction to design mode. Okay, so this one, let's jump in here, will give you a little bit more actually moving things around. Like it says here, you're going to create screens, buttons, images, text. This is mostly just a drag and drop kind of idea. Okay, so again, I won't go through this with you because you can read and you can play around with it, but it starts to bring in the design interface. And so then you can sort of start to figure out, oh, what are these? How are these brought in? What are sort of the elements that basically make up this design? We're not really getting into the programming side. You can't even see the programming side. They've sort of hidden that from you. Later on, you will get into that. But there might be multiple screens here. Again, there are instructions at the top, and you'll get used to this. If I can bring this down somehow. I don't know why my screen's not letting me do that. Maybe there's only the 2 there. But basically looking through, can you change things? What can you do? Okay, as you sort of do this. You can also hit the run button here, right, to see them run. You probably figure that out. Okay, so this, again, looking at, these are, I think, are the same apps as before, trying to figure it out. These ones are actually trying to create a bit, changing the themes. Again, purely design. There's not anything to do with programming, okay? And it shows you how to bring in images and so on, okay? Again, a little question at the end there, talking about IDs, which you'll learn about. I'm not going to go into it here. It's not the purpose of the video. What I've also done in Teams is a spot for you to put your notes as well. So each of the ones are here, sort of what are apps? So in class we would sort of discuss this. Obviously we sort of don't have that opportunity, but think about what are apps, right? How do you usually interact with them? That might differ if you're on the computer versus being on your touchscreen versus being on maybe on your TV, right? There's your Netflix app or whatever sitting natively on your TV. And what kind of things do these apps do, right? So just sort of thinking about that, because you will be designing an app. So just to get this into your brain, the app exploration, so you've sort of gone through that. You can think about these just sort of in general here at the end. This might be a good place to sort of summarize your thoughts. How did the user interact? So what are the different modes of interaction? Purposes of these apps, you might put multiple ones there obviously, and target audiences. I mean, that's some sort of important thing. I've embedded the video there as well if you need to look at it. Taking a look at those apps now through that lens of inputs and outputs, right? So again, just putting a list maybe there of all the inputs and outputs would be good. And favorite app, right? So sort of think about that, sketch that app, and what are the inputs and outputs of that app? So whether it be, I don't know, whatever's cool, is it Instagram, whatever it is, the Netflix app, whatever they are, think about how that is designed. Okay, there's a specific design there, and how do you interact with it? Again, taking you from being a user to giving you a bit of a critical view of it. And there's the interface and so on, some definitions there, so you might want to keep those in mind. So this idea, right, and I'm going to explain in class, but this is your sort of where your notes are. Introduction to design mode, again, this sort of gives you a little bit more of an explanation there. Thinking about what elements collect inputs, right? What ones are outputs, and are there any elements that can do both? So again, that's just sort of a bit of a summary for you once you've worked through here. And you can think of these as your, like I said, your notes here. Right. So good luck with that. I know it's a little bit tricky to do on your own, but given our situation, we need to sort of have you try to do some of this, but feel free to ask me about them in class as well. All right. Good luck with that, and we'll see you later.